Now I'm hearing it, yeah.
From Cronin Stadium on the campus of Jesuit High School, PlayOn Sports brings you Friday Night Football. And tonight a showdown in the Metro League, a much anticipated and eagerly awaited matchup as number 3 Aloha travels to Cronin Stadium to take on the 7th-ranked Jesuit Crusaders. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Pickett along with Jim Patterson, and we welcome you to this game, and a game that has a lot of extra attention to it because of some of the goings-on during the week. It originally was going to be a great matchup between two of the state's top running backs, but one's injured and out. The one who's still around has had all sorts of extra attention this week. Thomas Tyner of Aloha first came out early in the week and said he was going to verbally decommit from Oregon. Came back and said he was going to recommit. Might look at other schools. Jim, the big question coming into this one will be how much has all that this week affected his focus and preparation for this game?
Well, and I think that's the biggest issue in getting ready for a game against a Jesuit football team. This is not something typically that you'd want to have to be focusing on, especially head coach Casey wanting to make sure that his team is focused on the opponent. It'll be interesting to see how Thomas Tyner and the Aloha Warriors deal with this against a really tough Jesuit football team.
Jesuit won the toss and elected to take the football as we are underway, and the Crusaders are going to get a good run back off the opening kick and will start outside their own 30-yard line with a return from Trent Werner. And the Crusaders, of course, Jim, coming into this one, everybody at the start of the year looked for the big matchup between Tyner for Aloha and A.J. Glass for Jesuit. Glass injured and hopes to get back into the lineup before the end of the season, but that's a big loss for the Jesuit Crusaders. Elliot Nisler starting at quarterback tonight, senior night here at Jesuit. Joey Alfieri and Chase Morrison in the backfield for the Crusaders as they go from their 35-yard line and go to the air immediately. Out on the wing to Christian Martinek, who started the season. We saw him prominently at quarterback earlier in the year against Union. Martinek catching the pass from Nisler.
Jesuit lines up in the power I formation and probably busts a tendency on first down to start the game with a little quick out, but a nice gain, pickup of about 5 yards, and so now a very manageable second down and short yardage for the Crusaders.
They'll spread things just a little bit more, make a change with single setback and some fly motion through. Martinek taking the deep snap this time, and he'll be stopped at about the 42-yard line. Good job by the front line of Aloha that time in on the tackle. Brea Koshnaw along with Michael Klug for the Warriors.
So both teams, Todd, really like to run the football. That's primarily what they do. And as most people know, the rain has been pretty heavy here before the football game.
And it just eased up a little bit, didn't it?
Just eased up, and
yeah.
the playing surface won't be an issue. It's field turf, and it's in very good shape.
Play action on third down, and the pass incomplete as Nisler back at quarterback, overthrowing Joey Alfieri that time. Nisler, by the way, coming into this game, 13 of 40 passing for the season, as Martinek started the year and went 17 of 40. From the passing attempts, Henry Mondu, outstanding tight end, 6'5 junior, will be the punter. And twin safeties back deep for the Aloha Warriors. Bottom of your screen, Maurice McSwain, and at the top, Thomas Tyner. They will kick it away from both if they can. McSwain never really saw the ball, and this one stays in the field of play, rolls inside the 15, across the 10, and out of bounds at about the 9-yard line. A great-looking punt there by Mondu.
Well, a great-looking punt on two accounts. One, nice in terms of the yardage, and second, it was kicked well away from Thomas Tyner, which will probably be a theme here on special teams, Todd, because Jesuit will be well served not to kick the ball and give the ball to Tyner in space. That's where he's dangerous. And this series, the first one of the ball game, is one that I think a lot of people have anticipated. What will Jesuit do in this first series, as they clearly need to key on Thomas Tyner because he's such a big part of the offense?
If this is your first look at Tyner, over 2,300 yards rushing for the season. He takes the first pitch and gets to the outside. As we mentioned, a verbal commit to the University of Oregon. He's coming off a 357-yard, 3-touchdown performance last week in a narrow 24-16 win over Grant. And just in case you missed it, earlier in the year set Oregon state records with 643 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns in an 84-63 win over Lake Ridge.
Well, and this is a guy that you have to be a great tackler fundamentally. And if you don't bring him down, you better hold on to him long enough for the friends, your buddies, to come along. He is one incredible athlete.
He has a unique cutback at times. We'll see if there's one example of it right there. He gets to a diagonal-type cutback, Jim, faster than anybody I've ever really seen in finding those empty alleys.
Well, he sticks the foot in the ground very well, and then with the field vision is able to find those little lanes, those running lanes, those cutback lanes. And I would say right now, Jesuit has done a pretty good job here in the first series, both on the wide side running plays and anything up the middle with the cutbacks. They've done a good job here in the first series.
Michael Mueller combining that time with the Doug Brenner for the stop on a 3rd and 2 here. They'll throw, deflected, incomplete. Nice job defensively that time by Zach Holmard, who almost got an interception, and it'll be 4th down, and Aloha will be forced to punt.
Well, Jesuit's got to be extremely happy with the 3 and out here, especially with a weapon like Tyner. And I'm actually surprised, Todd, that on a 3rd and short yardage like that they did not just run a sweep or some sort of off-tackle play with Tyner. They instead decide to throw the football, and Jesuit does a good job with the first 3 and out defensively for the Crusaders.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim. I think they tried to maybe over-trick things a little bit right there. C.J. Eitel back to punt. Trent Werner is back deep to return for Jesuit, and a low short kick that only with a roll is going to get back out over midfield, so Jesuit will gain some yardage with the exchange of punts, as that one a 36-yard punt, no return, and the ball we spotted at the 46 for Jesuit's second possession.
Well, and that's one of the things you raised. I mean, that really is a classic case of field position and who wins on the exchange. So Jesuit actually gets the ball back in much better position to start this series after a great punt and a 3 and out. So now they're almost at midfield, and they've got to feel real good about that to start this now second offensive series.
They'll empty out the backfield on first down. Nisler listed at 6 foot, 179. Quick little underneath screen. Good break of one tackle. It'll get over midfield and into Aloha territory on the reception by Trent Werner.
Dominic Johnson, a great job there from his linebacker position to really stop that cutback by Trent Werner. It looked like at the beginning of that play there was a lot more yardage there, but again, Johnson for the Warriors with a great job on the tackle.
And I say this half tongue-in-cheek, we may have just seen a Jesuit school record for most passes in one quarter. If you followed the Crusaders at all, you know they don't often throw the ball. They've had some games where they never throw it at all. They'll fly sweep it here, and again carrying is Werner around the left side. And he'll be stopped short of the first down. It'll be about a 3rd and 3 yard to go. Just rare to see the Crusaders go to the air this early, isn't it?
Well, it's rare, and one of the reasons it's rare is because if you look at their offensive line,
yeah,
I mean they're as big as some D1 schools. I mean they've got some big kids up front, and really that's going to be the interesting part of this game is will the big physical size be able to wear down Aloha so that they can run the ball effectively on a consistent basis?
Little motion here, and they'll toss it to the outside. Morrison carrying there, finds a hole, first down and more, and the Jesuit fans on their feet as he's wrestled down at the 25-yard line. The type of play we expected to see come in the other direction, and Morrison with a nice gain there.
Well, and one of the things they got was a pulling guard, Dominic Baldacchi, number 68, with a great kick-out block as the sweep was going wide right. And once they got that block from Baldacchi, it was nothing but open space. A great play for the Crusaders.
Yeah, that combined with just that little simple pin down block from the motion man Werner really freed the corner. Good call by Ken Potter and his staff, and a first down at the 25-yard line for the Crusaders. New single back in the set field. They'll dump out into the flat again for Alfieri. Tries to get help on a bubble screen there and just picks up a couple of yards. Nice job coming out of the secondary that time for the Warriors from Calvin Davis.
Good play by Davis. Boy, you get a guy in space, a good athlete, and get the ball to him quickly. You've got to make that sure tackle, and it was done there by the Aloha cornerback.
Nistler getting the call from the sidelines. Will sprint back over to the huddle. Braden Nelson staying in the backfield. He's the up back in this configuration with Alfieri, the tailback. And they'll look to go to the air again. Lots of time for Nistler. Deflected and incomplete. Like one of the middle backers got a hand on it originally, and there were 3 or 4 Aloha jerseys around the ball. Nobody could get to it quickly enough.
Well, I think Jesuit was really fortunate because there were at least 4 Aloha defenders in the area, and you tried to thread the needle there. Ball falls to the ground, and Aloha gets an opportunity to line up and play another down. But I think they were really lucky there, Todd, that there was not the turnover off the interception.
Yeah, it really was, another 2-3 inches maybe on height on that tip, and they've got the interception. So a 3rd and long here for the Crusaders. And they'll go to the air again. Nistler deep over the seam, too high for Mondu, who had split receivers and was open down near the goal line.
Well, and there's a flag at the 30-yard line, and I think what we're going to have is roughing the passer. There was a late hit on Nistler as he got rid of the football, and in the area of where the white hat threw it, it's either a hold or a roughing the passer. Let's see.
It is roughing the passer. Good call, Jim. Ross Johnson, our referee tonight, giving the signal, and the Crusaders are going to have a first down out of the play.
Ross Johnson, one of the guys here in the Metro League in this area who's been refereeing and officiating football in these parts for a long time, and he gets the draw in the big game tonight. And I think it was a good call because clearly the ball was out of Nistler's hands, and the hit came late, and Jesuit benefits from the personal foul.
Ball spotted at the 11-yard line for the first down. They'll go to a little offset look here, power I, and run a reverse with Mondu. He's got a little speed. Aloha read it well, but a good cutback toward the goal line and in, and the Crusaders are on the board.
Well, there's a little bit of good luck and good fortune that has to come about if you're going to beat a good football team. And Aloha taking advantage of the field position off the 3-and-out that their defense was able to get, and then the benefit of a penalty against Aloha on a personal foul, a late hit. Ken Potter goes to a bag of tricks here, and I think it's a great call because Aloha very aggressive defensively and really playing over pursuit, and they get the reverse for the touchdown.
Extra point attempt by Patrick Carley is no good. He appeared to slip a little bit when he tried to plant the foot, and it will remain Jesuit 6 and Aloha nothing. You mentioned something interesting there too, Jimmy, just the fact that Potter going into the trick bag a little bit, and in years past, again, you wouldn't expect to see that this early in the game from a Crusader team.
Well, first of all, I mean, A.J. Glass is down. He's injured. He's out.
Over 1,200 yards rushing lost, by the way.
That's right. So, you're playing one of the better teams in the state, and I think that, this is really going to be about breaking tendencies. These two teams know each other very well, and I think you try as a coach in a big game like this to try to keep the defense off balance. And when you know you're playing an aggressive defensive front where they're going to, pursue and over-pursue good fakes, it's great to come back and hit them with a little reverse play, which Mondu that time did a great job not only of getting outside, but then made a good cutback move, broke a tackle, and scored the touchdown.
Short kick by the Crusaders, and in fact, it may roll out of bounds and will. They'd rather take that than the return from Aloha, and the Warriors will get field position after that out-of-bounds kick. And keeping in mind, too, we didn't really get a chance to talk about this pregame, but Jesuit in a position where, of course, with the playoff structure, it's not necessarily a must-win game, but in order to keep a run of winning or sharing 7 out of the last 8 league titles, as well as not dropping down further in the power rankings, which means a much tougher seeding in the playoffs. There is a lot of pressure on the Crusaders to win tonight.
Well, let's face it, they've lost 2 games, and this program is not used to losing, period.
From the 35-yard line, Tyner carrying again, big hole left side, knocks a tackler down to the ground with him as he gets stopped just short of the 45-yard line. Good one-on-one tackle that time by Connor Groth.
You know, that's one of the things that makes Thomas Tyner so special. Not only does he have the explosive speed around the edges, but on that play you could see he's not afraid to turn himself into a battering ram. He will literally look for defensive players in the secondary to go hit. It's just a good running football player.
Here he goes again. Breaks one ankle tackle, loose sidelines, forced out of bounds, but he'll have enough for the first down at the Jesuit 44. There is a flag back at the line of scrimmage, though. Again, folks, in case you missed it, he comes into tonight with 2,328 yards rushing in 7 weeks.
That's
face mask against Aloha, so it is going to come back. So that's better than 300 a game. He averages 12.7 yards a carry, and he's rushed for 29 touchdowns. That's a career for most high school kids.
Well, and this is the kid that scored 10 touchdowns in 1 game.
Yep.
This is a guy who rushed for 643 yards in 1 game. His team was on the winning side against Lake Ridge, 84-63. I mean, you know, talk about video game numbers. That's what Thomas Tyner is doing, and you can tell from watching him. You know, this is one case where one guy can, in fact, make a huge difference in a football team, and Thomas has really raised all of the players around him.
With the personal foul, the ball marked back at the 29, so it's a 2nd and 16 from there for the Warriors. And they will look to throw. A little dump pass over the middle is caught. Great yardage gain that time on the completion from the quarterback, Eitel, to Jason Ritchie, the tight end, and they get almost all of those 16 yards back.
Well, and I think the ball was originally tipped at the line of scrimmage. But the receiver doing a great job to continue to concentrate on the football and bring it in.
And it gives them a 3rd and 2, a very makeable down now.
And my money is on number 4 getting the football.
Yeah,
here.
That's about as close to a sure bet as you're going to get around here. And guess what? You just lost your money, my friend.
I did. But I'm not surprised what they ran because the quick hitter to the fullback on the little trap, you know, it's something that when you've got all eyes on number 4, the little quick hitter for the short yardage is a great call.
Nate Jackson, the ball carrier, gets just enough for the first down at the 46-yard line of Aloha.
And that's what makes this offense so dangerous, Todd, is that, you know, because they have the ability to throw the football a little bit and they've got Tyner in the backfield, Jesuit is going to be hard-pressed to know from where they're getting attacked.
That's only Jackson's 20th carry of the year. Tyner again, they try to rip the ball loose. About 3-4 tacklers bring him down. Again, after a short gain, Thomas Foreman leading the way for Jesuit on the stop.
Pretty clear that Jesuit during practice this week talked about the importance of gang tackling and all 11 guys to the football. I only saw 2 guys in the secondary that were not around Thomas Tyner on that carry, and that's one of the things you've got to do. They're going to have to throw that big gold and green net all over this guy.
Just to tell you how big a chunk he is of the offense, coming into tonight, he'd carried the ball 184 times. The rest of the team, 70 times. The entire team in any situation. Tucks the ball away, gets about 3 or 4 more again. We're not getting a chance to see the breakout. It's more, as you said, the 3 yards and cloud of dust right now. But Michael Mueller leading the tacklers that time with David Brigado assisting for Jesuit. And it's the 3rd and medium distance now for the Warriors.
Well, and you know, when he ran for the 643 yards and 10 touchdowns against Lake Ridge, you know, I remember watching the highlights. And literally it was handoff and run 65 yards.
Yeah, nobody got a hand on
him.
This is the difference tonight, right?
A little bit different.
Yeah. They'll go play action again. Eitel on the rollout, trying to find someone. We'll tuck it away, and we'll be stopped 2 yards short of the first down as the Crusaders swarm to the ball in a hurry there.
Thomas Foreman came up from his defensive back or outside linebacker position and really did a nice job of cleaning up on Eitel. It looked like he was going to get the first down, but Foreman with a great tackle, and he falls short at the 45, bringing up the 4th down.
Yep, a 4th and a short, too, and it looks as though they're going to go for it. They picked up one short yardage situation, but they bring in a different up back this time, Dominic Johnson.
Power eye off tackle.
He'll lead in, spin, and he is going to be stopped. Tyner did not get there. He's a full yard short as the Crusaders celebrate and hold at their own 44-yard line.
Well, Todd, they bring in Dominic Johnson to play fullback. That's the first signal that they're going to line up, go power I off tackle. And Jesuit, knowing that, did a great job defensively of fighting off blocks at the line of scrimmage and then taking on that fullback and wrapping Tyner up for the loss.
And, Jim, I think that's another key difference. Not only are they having to have Tyner go against guys who are going to get to him and tackle him sooner, but in addition to that, these are guys who are going to do a better job of gap control, and the seams are not going to be there necessarily like they've had against other teams.
No question, and part of that is because Jesuit is so big, so physical, and so strong.
So the Crusaders hold, take over at their own 44. Alfieri the motion man, and they'll play action, drop the ball. Nisler faking with Morrison, dropped the ball and fell on top of it at the 41.
Well, and he did the right thing once he fumbled the ball. Don't think about trying to pick it up. Just fall on the ball, live to play another down. So while the fans of the Crusaders probably disappointed with the 4-yard loss, I think that was a great play on Nisler's part to make sure we just fall on the ball, we'll line up and play again.
They actually will mark it at the 40, give him a 4-yard loss on it. Alfieri the single setback now. Martinek in at quarterback. And they looked to throw a little loop screen. That one was in the air a long time. A nice job by Werner just to get back toward the line of scrimmage. A lot of guys would have gotten hung out on that hospital ball, but he takes it up for a couple of yards. It's going to be a 3rd and 12, though, for the Crusaders.
Well, that's part of the problem is that play is really designed that once the quarterback gets the ball, you want to get it to your guy in space quickly. And Martinek kind of hung up the floater, and the defense was able to pursue very quickly after reading the play. And so the fact they gained 2 yards, probably fortunate there.
Going to have to go to the air again. And in addition to that, the Crusaders are without their best wide receiver tonight, Buddy Webb, who also is a leader in the secondary. Nisler to throw. Way too high, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Maurice McSwain. One more man left to beat, and he'll get run out of bounds finally on the far sideline. A late flag thrown as well over there, but a big break for Aloha as the nose of that one stayed up a long time, Jim.
Well, and I think the flag comes out, Todd, because of some frustration on the Crusaders' part.
Yeah.
Clearly the runner was out of bounds, and I think the late hit is going to be called, which is going to tack on an additional 15 yards after the run.
Blow to the head, the signal. And that'll take it down inside the 30-yard line. Just when Aloha might have felt stymied a little bit with the Jesuit defensive hold, the Warriors get a big break, plus a nice run back, plus 15 more yards on the personal foul. Well, 1st and 10 at the 29.
You never know in big games like this. It's the penalties, it's turnovers. Those are the things that at the end of the day, when you think about, what could we have done better? Those are the things that sometimes weigh in big time here in these type of games.
And as you said, Jim, sometimes it's keeping check of your emotions too. Tyner right side veers around, gets about 5 more. And a man shaken up after making that open field tackle, Alfieri. He's staying down so far. Now he'll slowly get back up to his feet. But had Tyner kind of fall on him as well, and Alfieri felt that one.
Well, and Alfieri did a great job. Again, tackling in the open field against Thomas Tyner is critical, and Alfieri did a great job there of making sure that he wrapped up and got Tyner to the ground. Unfortunately, he paid the price.
Yeah, I think he rolled an ankle a little bit, too, the way he planted his foot to drag him down. Gain of 4 from first down. And it's Tyner to the left side. 3 wideouts there to block for him if he can gain the corner, but doesn't. Great support coming out of the secondary that time, and that's the speed of Trent Werner making a good tackle.
Well, and the thing I liked about Werner is he read the play and then he just turned it on. And you can't let Thomas Tyner have a lot of time to find lanes in the field. Werner, a great job flying up from the safety position to make a good, sure tackle.
I'm sure that had to be one of the points of emphasis in practice this week, fly to the ball, no matter what.
Absolutely, and it's got to be more than one guy, and that's why we're seeing here early in the game, defensively, Jesuit with 10 or 11 guys around the football.
We'll see whether or not the Warriors get this snap off before the quarter comes to an end, and it appears that they won't. The horn does sound just before they're ready to snap the ball, so it's going to be a 3rd and 7 for Aloha when we return at the Jesuit 26 following a big interception by McSwain. The Warriors look to get on the board at the end of one. It's Jesuit 6 and Aloha nothing. You're watching Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot.
We welcome you back to Cronin Field for a Metro League showdown. Aloha 7-0, 3-0 in the league. Jesuit trying to avoid a second league loss and a third loss overall as they come in 5-2. Of course, the non-league loss to the state's number one ranked team in the power rankings, the OSAA, Central Catholic. Flag thrown on the far side of the field and a man down, one of the linemen for Aloha. And it looks like Dre Johnson. 6'1" senior. The Aloha staff will come out and take a look at him. Still no signal on what, now they will tell us, illegal procedure on Aloha. So, I don't know if it was a false start or an alignment since they let the play continue.
Yeah, the illegal procedure right now really a secondary issue to
Right.
the player on the field. And you never like to speculate from our position as to what an injury may or may not be, but you could tell right away that the injured player was definitely in pain. He was not going to get up on his own power, and as you can see, he is being well cared for not only by the Aloha medical staff, but also the home team has sent their folks out as well. So he's getting good medical attention, and we just hope, in a game like this, that everything works out okay.
Johnson, 6'1", 344-pound senior. As, again, the Aloha medical staff continues to attend to him here early in the second quarter of play. A quick reminder that if you'd like more sporting activities from your school and more academic activities to be covered here on PlayOn Sports, you need to check out the PlayOn Sports school broadcast program. Find out how you can get all your activities and sporting events covered online. Go to playonsports.com/SBP and find out more about PlayOn Sports, your home for high school sports activity from all over the country, live and on demand. Remember, if you're watching this game live, you can watch it again on demand anytime you want to, right here on PlayOnSports.com, and we'll be with you all the way through the OSAA playoffs as well.
Well, and something tells me, too, Todd, that not only the magnitude of the game, but some of the players. I mean, realistically, there are probably 6 or 7 guys in this game that are D1 caliber players, and we do know that there are some coaches here from some of the D1 schools. So it's not just all about Thomas Tyner, although it's quite a bit about Thomas Tyner.
So a 4th and 7 from the 26. They'll stretch the field with trips right, try to open some lanes. Pressure, tried to come back the other way. That's well defended. Nowhere for Itel to go. He's going to be dropped clear back at the 45-yard line, a 19-yard gain. Jim, they tried a little comeback screen to the other side, and Jesuit had it smothered.
Well, they did a great job of downfield, and you can tell that Itel is injured. He's down on the field at the 50, and he's dragging his right arm, which would lead you to believe that it's a shoulder or an elbow. He was taken down on this field turf pretty hard and did hit that shoulder. And that's really unfortunate because he's very important to their offense. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I noticed is that Jesuit has probably got at least one or two of their defenders in a spy mode on Thomas Tyner because they tried to run Tyner on a little bubble away from the sprint out. But there were two Jesuit defenders right there with Tyner.
Which is, I think, exactly what Chris Casey would want, to pull extra defenders out of the play if they're going to focus on Tyner. Then he tried to come back with a little bubble tight to the sideline, and there was a defender in that picture as well. So 2 plays and 2 losses on offense for the Warriors. So a little disquieting there. We're going to step aside for a minute here at Cronin Field. Early in the second quarter, Jesuit 6, Aloha nothing. This is Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot.
Back at Jesuit High School, and good that C.J. Itel able to get off under his own power, so hopefully he'll be able to stay in the ball game. Change of possession on that 4th down play, and Nisler handing off as Jesuit starts from its own 45-yard line with a play for not much of a gain either, and the Aloha defense has done a pretty fair job so far tonight too, Jim.
Well, they have. They've done a good job of, again, up front, some good gap control. They've got some big kids up on that front line, including number 79, Drade Johnson, number 55, Braden Kersley, number 65, another big hombre there, A.J. McCollum, and they've done a good job so far of controlling anything in between the tackles. It's really been the outside and the misdirection that's hurt the Warriors here early in the second quarter.
Morrison through the right side, broke one early tackle. One of the guys you were just talking about there, Andrew Kirkland, leading the tackle with some support out of the secondary from Alex Gedrose. And he'll spot it at the 50-yard stripe and make it a 3rd and 5.
Chase Morrison, a pretty special player for the Crusaders, 5'10", 165-pound sophomore, playing in a big game here tonight against the Aloha Warriors.
He's averaged better than 5.5 yards a carry since he came onto the backfield. Should get over the 500-yard rushing mark for the season tonight with a decent performance. Play action and just a little simple dump. Alfieri, 1st down and more, inside the 30-yard line before he's dragged down. Jim, it's a high percentage pass, but they're executing it very well.
Well, here's what I love about the call. So they line it up in the power I. We're thinking maybe Morrison's going to get the ball. They run off tackle, but what they do is they slip Alfieri out as that lead blocker. They get him out into the flat, and then they just get the ball to him in space. A real good call by Ken Potter to get the 1st down here for the Warriors.
Well
for
designed.
the Crusaders.
Yep. Well-designed play, and a gain of 22 on it, and a 1st down at the 28-yard line for Jesuit. Motion on the wing again, same play they ran and got good yardage on early in the 1st quarter. Morrison not quite as far this time, but still a good cut to the inside before Dominic Johnson wrapped him up.
Well, one of the guys on the offensive line that's fun to watch for Jesuit is number 57, Doug Brenner. That time he blocked 2 guys at the point of attack, and then he was actually downfield in the secondary looking for somebody else. So he's one of those D1 guys, a commit to one of those schools down I-5.
Gain of 4 on that one. Martinek split to the top of the screen. And they'll look for him on a quick out. He ran the pattern a little deep. The ball delivered before he made his cut. And he was just a bit too deep to come back and get that pass from Nisler.
Well, a little timing route. You could tell the ball was in the air before the receiver made his cut, just a little bit wide. Wide receiver made a good effort to try to catch the football, but just out of his reach, and now a 3rd down. And a big key play here for the Crusaders because another score here early is going to be big against this Aloha Warrior defense.
Play action again. Same play to the other side. Alfieri, did they rule that he stepped out of bounds or not? Nope, they'll take him down to about the 16, and that should be enough for a first down.
Again, slip the fullback out into the flat, get him the football real quick. It's tough for the linebacker to be able to pick him up before he gets the ball. That's why the quick pass is so important, and good call again by Ken Potter to pick up the Jesuit first down.
Nisler gets him set. Quick slant in, and Martinek obviously was running a different pattern. He was open, but the ball delivered for a quick to him, and he was going deeper into the pattern.
Well, had they been on the same page, they probably get 6 points there. I think the slant pass is what Nisler threw, and the wide receiver decided to run the seam route.
Yeah.
So a little miscommunication there. But the good news for the Crusaders, the play was open. It's just got to be executed.
2nd and 10 from the 16-yard line. Well within the kicking range of Patrick Carley should they get to that point, although he slipped on the point after attempt in the first quarter and drove it under the bar. Morrison the motion man this time, and they throw a quick one in the flat to him. Good job to get around the downfield blocking that time by Richard Blogg as he got past Trent Werner's attempt.
So as much as Jesuit may not like to throw the football, particularly on a night like tonight with inclement weather, you can tell that that's an important part of how they think they need to be attacking this Aloha defense. But everything's very high percentage. They haven't thrown anything really down the field except for an intercepted pass early in the first quarter.
Right,
So,
and they tried to get Mondu on the seam the one time too,
right.
But you're right, most everything else has been very quick out of the hands of Nisler before the defense can break to it, and it's all been short passes. Jesuit taking a timeout here. It's first of the first half with 8:39 to play in the second quarter, and the Crusaders hanging on to a 6-0 lead currently.
So if you're Jesuit and defensively you're trying to grade the first quarter, I think you give yourself an A because Thomas Tyner did not break away for any big plays. He didn't score. You were able to really kind of control him at the line of scrimmage. So you've got to feel really good about the fact that you've taken arguably the best running back in the state of Oregon and held him to minimal gains on the offensive side of the ball. Now the question is, can they do that for a full 4 quarters of the football game? I don't know as if they'll be able to contain him the whole time.
Good point.
But right now, they've done a great job, and they have to feel real good about the opportunity to score a second touchdown here on this drive.
So a 3rd and 8 here. Little jump and flag thrown. Did somebody jump on the offensive side or not? I didn't see anyone move in green. One of the linemen appeared to come across for Aloha, and they are pointing that way. So 5 yards for Jesuit makes it a lot easier. Now if you're Ken Potter, do you change the play call? Because you love to stick to the ground where you can. But this is going to be a 3rd and about 3 yards to go now. But do you change from what would have had to have been a pass to a run situation here?
Well, I think they are changing the play because they've run some different personnel in. So they've brought some of the big guys in. They're in the power I formation. So look for something to, right up the gut. But off play action.
Wide open for the
Great
touchdown catch is Joey Alfieri. They fooled everybody. And again, as you said, a game where they need to go away from tendencies. They certainly did right there.
Well, I think that, they lined up in the power I with Morrison in the backfield. And Jesuit has typically run the football. Hey, we're bigger up front, more physical. We're going to run it right at you. But they break that tendency. Receivers wide open, Todd. There wasn't anybody within 10 yards. And Jesuit, with a great offensive call, they've done a great job of managing the offense, and now they go up by 2 touchdowns.
And one would assume go for 2 here, and that's what they appear to be doing as they line up in that power I formation again. Braden Nelson joins the backfield. They'll play action this, flip it at the goal line and in, and I think that's Alfieri again, isn't it? Yes, it is. Alfieri with his first touchdown reception of the season. And the touchdown pass for Nisler, his 4th. They add the conversion. And 8:34 to play second quarter. Our score jumps to Jesuit 14. And Aloha, remember the Warriors coming into this game undefeated and ranked third in the state, 14-0 in favor of the Crusaders.
You know, I would have loved to have been in the locker room before the game to hear Ken Potter and what he had to say to his team. And my guess is it goes something like this. Fellas, we're coming off a loss to Southridge, and not a lot of people are talking about us. This is all about Thomas Tyner. It's all about number 4. It's all about the higher-ranked Aloha team. They're undefeated. But you know what? This is about us. And what they've done tonight is they've come out and they've taken all the focus off of number 4, and they've really shined here early in the game, both defensively and offensively. So from that standpoint, Jesuit is in exactly the position they would want to be at home in front of a big crowd on senior night, and they're sitting in a good spot right now, Todd.
Sam Rule to kick off. Short kick. Tyner has it at the 21-yard line. Breaks through a couple tackles. Breaks an arm tackle. Breaks one more. Still on his feet. Dragging another tackler and finally falls backwards inside the Jesuit 20-yard line. The put down by Braden Nelson to prevent what would have been one of the more amazing kickoff run-back touchdowns of the year.
Here's what I was concerned about in kickoffs if he got the ball. Typically on special teams, you're going to play kids that don't typically play on the defense. You're going to use some younger kids. You're going to use kids that typically don't get a lot of playing time. So you're not playing your starters on special teams. And you can't tackle Thomas Tyner by just a bump. It's got to be a wrap-up, and it's got to be multiple guys. And as he showed, one man trying to tackle him up above the waist, it's not going to work. Impressive run back by Thomas Tyner.
Nick Crouchide is in at quarterback. Itell out after being shaken up when he was sacked on that 4th down attempt. And Crouchide does what any quarterback would love to do, turn and hand the ball off to Tyner. Crouchide for the year is 1 of 4 passing for 29 yards. He's a 5'11", 169-pound junior.
And it didn't take very long off the long run back to decide, well, we better put the ball in Thomas Tyner's hands again.
And a big emotional play there, Jim, because if you're Aloha, you've lost a lineman, lost your quarterback, you've gone down 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden your emotions get lifted right back up. Triple I formation here. Tyner picks his way through the crowd, and that's the first time, really, that no one from the Crusaders has gotten a hand on him. And Aloha emotionally is right back in this ball game.
Well, they got what they needed from their big play man. A huge kickoff return. They hand the ball to him twice. He scores. They're right back in the game, and that's the kind of answer that Coach Casey was obviously looking for from his team. 2 guys that are, contributors to your squad are down with injuries, and now it's about, okay, guys, who's going to step in and step up? And a great job by the Warriors on that drive and the special teams play.
Aloha scrambling did not have everybody out for the kick conversion, and they are forced to take a timeout with 7:38 to play here in the quarter, and what could be a crucial extra point as well, because Mickey York getting set to attempt it with Richard Belog, the holder. They'll need to keep pace on conversions since Jesuit got that 2-point play. By the way, 56 seconds on the drive since the touchdown.
Yeah.
That's a huge emotional lift for Aloha, because you start to doubt yourself a little bit, and can we do it? And all of a sudden, Tyner lifts all their spirits, puts everybody on his back right there on that return, Jim.
Well, and they had to respond because Jesuit obviously has come out and, really kind of taken the game to them here early in the first quarter and now into the second. And so an answer of some kind was going to be necessary. And, of course, you look to the guy on your team that's been able to answer every time. That's Thomas Tyner. And the big error really was kicking him the football in the first place.
Agreed.
I mean, that's
I was surprised when they did, to be honest.
That's the mistake that you make is to kick the ball and put it in his hands. And then if you wind up getting a big return, it should not be a surprise.
Trying to look over on the far side, there are a couple of linemen being attended to. Let's get back to the extra point conversion right now, and they are going to try to run it instead. A little error there, and Belog is brought down. So it's 14-6 Jesuit. And I got screened a little bit. Jim, did you see, was that a bad snap?
Well, it was a low snap, and I'm not quite sure that the holder couldn't have got the ball up. It's tough. I mean, it's a little bit different to be able to call it from up here, but he obviously felt some pressure.
But it didn't look like a designed two-point play is what I'm trying to say. It looked like an error on the snap. Yeah, all right.
I mean, I think, basically they're down 14-6. I mean, you want to get the 1 point extra point. And so clearly I don't think they went for two. That was just an error. It's one of those small things in a big game that can come back later to really bite you.
We're trying to look over on the far side for C.J. Eitel, who supposedly was being treated and had a shoulder injury, but we don't see him. I don't know if they've gone ahead and taken him inside now perhaps as well. And also over on the far side, one of the linemen we talked about early, Michael Paul Klug, is sitting on one of the equipment cases with the trainers and does not appear to be ready to go back into the ball game either. High short kick by York, and it'll be taken there by Trent Werner, who gets around the corner and will get brought down at the 30-yard line. A nice open field tackle there by Richard Belog, but Werner gives the Crusaders pretty fair position.
Boy, it's a good thing that Belog kept his running lane coming down the field, because there was a lot of room to this right side of the field towards the press box here at Cronin Field. A good play by Belog in the open field to get Werner. He had a lot of running room if he gets out of that tackle.
So the Crusaders start at the 30. Morrison, nice angle to his left and drives tacklers forward. Good run after the first contact that time by Morrison. Took it out over the 35.
Well, you want your running backs to always be going forward. Keep the legs driving. Morrison did a nice job there. Offensive line for the Crusaders has done a really good job here in the first half of controlling that line of scrimmage, allowing for those running lanes, and Morrison and Alfieri have done a great job.
Good job breaking a couple ankle tackles. Look, for a minute, I was afraid that he was going to put his head down into the turf there. Ben Hartmeyer with the carry to pick up a first down for the Crusaders.
Well, at least on this play, number 70, Ryan Brown for the Crusaders has got to be out of play. His helmet came off during the play. It's one of those new rules instituted in football that if a player loses their helmet, they have to sit a play out.
I love the one that they had the other day with I'll have to go back and think of who it was, actually, as the Crusaders have a first down. Nissler looking to go long into double coverage and incomplete. And in all actuality, McSwain, who had the earlier interception, was the closest man to the ball, with Werner trying to defend him.
Well, and I like what I see, that Jesuit is trying to stretch the field vertically here, go deep, challenge the defensive secondary, maybe catch him off guard. Nissler, not necessarily a tight spiral, but he was able to throw the ball downfield, but good coverage in the secondary by McSwain.
I remember who the helmet was. It was last week for Jeff Toole, the quarterback at Washington State against Cal. Gets hit on a blitz, gets yanked down by the helmet. The defender pulled the helmet off. Personal foul for the play, but they ruled that the quarterback had to go out of the game because his helmet came off during the play. And they decided it wasn't a part of the infraction. Go figure.
So Nissler on a cadence
second time
issue draws Aloha off sides to pick up the cheap 5-yard penalty. And I know Chris Casey, being the disciplined coach that he is, can't stand those kinds of mistakes to be made by the Warriors. He knows in a close game, every mistake could have a consequence, and not a good one.
Hartmeyer blocking for Nissler. For Mondu, incomplete, a little bit behind him. Belog on the coverage for the Warriors.
So the thought there is on second and short, again, break a tendency, go play action pass. If you don't make the completion, you've got a third and a manageable 5 yards. So it'll be interesting to see what Ken Potter dials up here.
Morrison back in the lineup after being spelled by Hartmeyer the last couple of plays. And more often than not, they've gone to the air here tonight. Coleman in at the wide receiver up to the top side of the screen. Werner to the bottom. Single setback Morrison. Quick step drop into the flat. And Jim, I'll tell you, Aloha is giving huge amounts of cushion to the Jesuit receivers.
Well, and you know that the coaching staff for the Crusaders from up top where our vantage point is at, they're in a booth just down the hall. They clearly can see the big cushion, the 8 to 10 yard cushion that the corners for the Warriors are committed to at this point in the game. And so it's an easy 5 yards to pick up for the first down. Jesuit taking advantage of the corners and those big gaps. You can see they're off a good 12 yards now.
Yeah, and they've got Morrison on a little fly sweep here. Has room. Good blocking downfield. One man more to beat. That man gets driven out of the play, and Morrison takes it in for the touchdown. 40-yard run and a late flag thrown at the end of the play. That'll go against Aloha later on.
Well, Thomas Tyner's a dynamic runner, but Mr. Morrison has something to say of his own. What a great downfield cut. He had great blocking from the big guys up front at the line of scrimmage. But once he got into that second level, he made some great moves, some cutbacks, broke a tackle, drug a Warrior into the end zone, and then it looked to me like some sort of late hit after the play.
Yeah, I agree. Well, after he was in the end zone, they didn't let up and kept going at him. And the play signals the touchdown, and it's a dead ball personal foul against the Warriors. So that's 15 on the kick. And you always think with 15 that might be a situation to look at an onside kick. We'll get to that point afterwards. Ross Johnson with the signal, calling that personal foul a dead ball foul. And now Patrick Carley on to attempt the extra point. Nisler the holder, and Carley much more sure-footed this time. Really watched his plant foot and drove it through.
And Todd, that 15-yard penalty on the kickoff, absolutely I'd kick the ball on the ground and make sure that Thomas Tyner doesn't touch it.
Do you look at it onside maybe, though, too? That's what I
why
think.
not?
You know, you're going to get 15. You're going to boot it from well up the field. We'll see. But, yeah, keep in mind he may have enough leg to drive it into the end zone from there, too, and just make the automatic touchback. So,
well, that was a good answer by Jesuit offensively. Mixed it up nicely. They tried to stretch the field. You know, a lot of times, even though you may not complete one of those big hitting plays, the fact that you're willing to run play action, try to get the ball down the field, you're really keeping the defensive coordinator a little bit off space. And then what I really liked was the way that, they went to their halfback off of power action with a good lead block. And then once he got into the secondary, it was just great athletic plays by Morrison to score the touchdown. So a very impressive drive for the Jesuit Crusaders. And again, don't let the 5-2 record fool you. Jesuit's got a good football team, and although they have been somewhat decimated by big injuries to some of their key players, it's senior night. It's against Aloha. They're undefeated, and Jesuit playing very well.
you get a look here over on the far sideline before the kickoff. That's C.J. Itel wrapped up, jersey off. He is apparently done for the night, and the Crusaders will just kick the ball through the end zone. In fact, it's caught by McSwain clear out of the back line as they kicked off from the Aloha 45-yard line. So a touchback there, and the Warriors will start at the 20-yard line without their starting quarterback the rest of the way.
And that's a big injury. I mean, that's something that will definitely impact. And now the question is, the rest of the team, Thomas Tyner and those seniors for the Aloha Warriors have got to pick people up now, support the new guy who's in at quarterback.
And even more, it's going to be on the shoulders of Tyner now. He has been the central figure in this game in each of the last 3 seasons in what has been the most interesting stretch by far of this rivalry between the two teams, and we'll recap that for you in a minute. Tyner in motion to empty out the backfield for a quarterback who's completed 1 pass all year, tipped and intercepted. Inside the 30-yard line, the Pack will push it forward to about the 24-yard line, and the Crusaders get another big break there as their defense comes up large. Mandu with the pick.
Well, so they decided to empty the backfield. They sprint Thomas Tyner to the far side of the field, and essentially he's a decoy because there was no intention of throwing him the ball. The problem is the linebackers for Jesuit did a great job of dropping into their coverage, and that was an easy interception.
They went counter to their tendencies there when they might have been able to use a couple of runs just to pound the ball out. So on the turnover, Jesuit gets set up in excellent field position again. Left side, Morrison, good block for him by Alfieri, and he spins his way to a good gain down close to the 15-yard line before he's brought down. This is all tipping one way right now here in the second quarter, sorry.
I'm really impressed with Morrison. You know, the defenders have never really gotten a good clean shot on him. He's an elusive running back, but he's got great downfield vision. He's able to find those running lanes. And Jesuit right now really exploiting what they found inside the tackles and then allowing their athletes just to do what they do downfield.
Yep, second and short, a great play action down here if Ken Potter wants to. And that is what they'll do. Look to go to the air. A little dump pass. Alfieri again. Vaults over tacklers. It'll be first and goal down near the 2-yard line on a great athletic play there from Joey Alfieri.
Well, and a good call there, Todd, on the play action pass. But, you know, the interesting thing is they're not doing anything different. I mean, they're the same types of plays where they go play action, slip the fullback out into the flat, get him the ball, and then let him make a play. And so far, that's worked very well. Aloha has not had an answer defensively.
Braden Nelson comes in along with Michael Mueller for the Crusaders. And they'll both be up backs with Alfieri behind them as Nisler gets them set. A power eye to the right side. They'll go left. Alfieri dips the shoulder, and he's into the end zone for the score. They capitalized on the turnover, and they capitalized in a hurry.
Well, and so anybody who thought that with an undefeated team in Aloha with Thomas Tyner coming over to Jesuit that this was going to be a cakewalk, well, they've got something coming. Jesuit really making a statement here in the first half, and, of course, this is a 4-quarter game. But right now, Jesuit's got to feel great about where they're at and what they've done.
And there's one other interesting thing to keep in mind down the road as the point after is added from Carly. Aloha still has to play Southridge next week.
And Southridge defeated Jesuit last week, 26-21.
Yeah, if Southridge wins tonight, they will clinch at least a share of the Metro League Championship. Jesuit needing a win to keep its hopes up for a share. And Jesuit would need Aloha to turn around and beat Southridge and create a 3-way tie. Not so important in terms of the fact that all three will go on to the playoffs with the OSAA structure, but you always want to have those bragging rights and that potential league title as well.
So what'll be interesting in this game, Todd, from my perspective, is now, you know, what ability does Thomas Tyner, as kind of the marquee player for Aloha, what ability does he have to now get control of his teammates, bring them together, and become a leader, because it's going to take that to get them back in the game with C.J. Eitel on the sidelines not likely to play. Thomas Tyner has got more work to do to get Aloha back in the game, and it has little to do with him running the ball.
There's the kick you were talking about, Jim. Low and line drive, and to McSwain. Able to veer by a couple of tacklers, and a good run back, got a few extra yards and took it out over the 30-yard line for Aloha there with 4.5 to play in the quarter. The Warriors have been in 3 close games. Second week beat Tigard by 2, 36-34. Week 4 beat Sunset in a low-scoring game, 13-8. And then last week edged Grant 24-16, and a Grant team that's, you know, probably, I think, fair to say the class of the PIL at the 6A level, but I think that score surprised a lot of people.
Well, like I said earlier, you know, the fact that Jesuit has lost 2 games, this is uncharted territory for them within recent years. And, you know, you just knew that tonight, with all the focus and attention on Aloha, they were going to come out and play a good game.
Little inside counter as everybody followed Tyner. Good call by the Warriors. They'll get a first down out at their own 48-yard line on a pretty carry by Nate Jackson.
Now, Jackson did exactly what you want on the counter. He stayed close to the line of scrimmage, didn't bubble it out. Once he saw the seam on the kickout block, did a great job of getting his nose upfield. And again, Thomas Tyner as the decoy was really the key to that play.
17-yard carry. And a first down, and they'll mark it officially at their 49. Tyner, the sole setback. And they'll toss it to him right side. Room on the corner. Good cutback. and just lays into Alfieri that time. Joey will ride him down, but not before he picks up another first down at the Jesuit 37-yard line.
Well, that play alone just gives you an idea of what Thomas Tyner can do, because the challenge is once he gets up to speed, which is really quick on a sweep, he is running at 100 miles an hour, and to stop that as a guy, one guy in the defensive secondary. I mean, the guy that got the punishment there was the tackler, not Thomas Tyner.
13 on that carry. Alfieri with the tackle, and they'll spot it to the 38. Watch the reverse here. They fake it. Tyner lost his balance, and it'll be the easiest play of the night for the Jesuit defense. Nice job by Mondu to help him up, make sure that he's okay. Good. I always appreciate a little sportsmanship there. Mention that Tyner has been sort of the central figure in this for 3 years. In 2010, it was Aloha winning this game 38-25, their first win over Jesuit in 24 years, as Tyner had 298 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns en route to a state championship. Last year, Tyner was still out after a concussion earlier in the season, and the Crusaders put a 28-0 shutout on the Warriors, holding them to just 82 yards of total offense. So the third battle in the series here as they try to control Tyner and company here in the second quarter. Crouch-side to throw, open man on a short control pass. Much better look that time as he finds McSwain, but a very short gainer after the loss from the previous play.
Well, and we should probably also, if we're going to talk about history, it wasn't that many years ago that Aloha's football program in total was really down.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris Casey shows up and brings in a new approach, a new way of holding people accountable. They make a commitment to off-season workouts, getting bigger, getting faster, getting stronger. Then they've got a kid like Tyner who they're going to feature
That
as their
tends
guy.
to help your program a little bit.
They've done a lot. Aloha is back on the map as one of the premier programs in the state.
3rd and 13 here. Crouch-side skips it a little bit low, trying to go clear across the field and out into the flat that time for Jordan Dixon. And it'll bring up a punt situation for the Warriors here.
Well, Jesuit is going to be very happy. I mean, at halftime, they're going to be very happy with what they've been able to accomplish in the first half. But I guarantee you there'll be a reminder, fellas, this is a 4-quarter game, and we've got a long way to go before we can finish this thing off. So, first half to Jesuit, no question. But Aloha, they'll make some adjustments, and I think they'll make an effort here to get back in the football game.
Now, Jimmy, here's the penalty that'll drive you nuts as a coach.
Yeah, this one's bad.
4th and 13. And your guy on the end of the punt line jumps the snap.
Yeah.
And when you're up by 3 scores, that'll drive you crazy. It's going to make it 4th and 8. It's not major, but it's still, that's the type of thing might get you running the bleachers a few extra times come Monday afternoon.
My guess is that there is some sort of penalty for making a penalty that usually happens at practice the following week.
Mickey York on to punt. Trent Werner is deep. A very high kick this time, and they're going to let it go. He does a nice job of kicking toward the coffin corner. One roll too much, where they might have been able to pin it down deep. It goes for the touchback with 2:01 to play here in the second quarter. I would say just in a capsule summation so far the first half, Jim, I'm not surprised with what Jesuit's done defensively. I think I'm a little more surprised with how easily they've been able to move through the Aloha defense with their run-pass mix.
Well,
and taking advantage of turnovers.
I guess I'm surprised too. But Aloha's been in some track meets. I mean, they've given up a lot of points. In some of the games, including 63 points,
to Lake
even
Ridge.
in a win to Lake Ridge. And
they are the West Virginia of the OSAA apparently.
Their defense has been challenged before.
Alfieri coming off a rushing touchdown with that carry. He has a touchdown reception and a touchdown run so far here in the first half.
And just in case people were wondering, Thomas Tyner doesn't play defensively. We haven't seen him on the field defensively.
Right. It's a big night. I mean, in all honesty, and this is not to put Tyner on a pedestal, but it's at a college level, it's like going up against the leading Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah, no question. This is a big night for Jesuit, and you can see they've stepped up to the challenge.
Yes. They are playing like the Jesuit of old, albeit with more passing, but they have been a very dominating team here so far in the first half as they pick up another first down.
Well, and to me, I've always looked at head coaches of these programs The ones that are really successful are the ones that figure out that, there are things that happen during a season, including key injuries, where you have to make adjustments on the fly. You've got to do some things that maybe you don't always do. And Ken Potter has done that in this game by the number of times he's thrown the football. I don't think Aloha was prepared for that.
Alfieri with some tough yardage once again off the left side.
Now I will say the passes that they have thrown have been high percentage.
Yeah.
To the backs, out of the backfield, typically the fullback. So you're not talking about, taking big risks, but what they've done is they've got their players in positions to make plays, and the kids have stepped up and done that.
Gotten good numbers, got great yards after the catch, and they seem to be content to let this one go to the locker room with the current score, but we'll see. A little draw play here. Morrison trying to stutter step it outside. Oh, boy, that was a late hit with a hat leading first, and that young man's real lucky that not only they didn't get flagged, but he didn't get more of a penalty for that one. I was really surprised that didn't get a flag.
Well, especially since the line judge was looking right at it. I mean, we clearly saw it from our vantage point. I think that, the benefit here it wasn't a vicious type of thing, but definitely there was some element of leading with the helmet, and they're called that usually because that's one of the points of emphasis, any head-to-head contact.
It was 6-0 Jesuit at the end of the first quarter. Tyner with a good kickoff return and subsequent touchdown got the Warriors back in this one, but it was all Jesuit after that, including capitalizing on turnovers. And at the intermission, it is Jesuit 28 and Aloha 6. Homecoming night, senior night, all of that at Cronin Stadium. But more importantly for the Crusader fans, a big first half against the undefeated and number 3 ranked Aloha Warriors. Halftime here, we'll let you enjoy all those activities and be back with you in a few minutes with third quarter action. You're watching Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. Oh, we're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
Princess Franny Rogers enjoys participating in older brother Jack. John and Catherine Rogers are her parents.
Senior Prince Evan Jarvis participates in the Green Team Service Club and Young Life. His favorite Jesuit memory is DCE, the December co-ed encounter last year. Evan's favorite subject is biology. Last spring break, Evan participated in
match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at
We can get a player up here.
Ah, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the PlayOn School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
one shot at
We can get a player up here.
Ah, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the PlayOn School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
And back at Cronin Stadium, getting ready to start the third quarter. Jesuit kicking off. They lead at 28-6 over Aloha in this battle of top 10 teams. Short kick, McSwain has to stay on his feet. Otherwise, it's down right there. Dodges some tacklers. Breaks free at the 40. Into Jesuit territory, and what looked more like a rugby scrum than a kick return pays off for the Warriors. Jim, the lift that they needed coming out of the locker room.
Well, exactly, and Jesuit was too easily convinced, I guess, to help him out there. The tackling on special teams, especially on kick returns, for the Crusaders. Not what you'd like to see. A lot of arm tackling, a lot of one-on-one stuff where there's just no wrap-up and no help. And Aloha, right out of the halftime chat with Coach Casey, gets a big kickoff return, puts themselves in nice field position to start the second half.
If you're joining us late, Nick Krautscheid is on at quarterback after starter C.J. Eitel was injured in the first half. Second play that the Warriors have run out of this triple I formation. It got them a 13-yard touchdown run for their only score in the first half. And as expected, Thomas Tyner carrying the ball on first down.
And I think it's going to be more Thomas Tyner more of the time. Obviously, you've got to ride the big horse, the guy who's really got you to where you're at. They're 7-0 in league play, but they've got a ways to go to get themselves back in the game.
Well, Jim, two things the Warriors are going to have to play ball control offense, capitalize on every possession, and stop turning the ball over against Jesuit. Tyner to the boundary and runs out of bounds after picking up a first down at the 29-yard line.
And in a lot of ways, I think that's really wise running. I mean, he looked like, he got what he could get. And clearly he's going to be taking on tacklers. And right now it's really, he's got to stay healthy, got to stay fresh. And the fewer hits he takes, the better.
The old Franco Harris strategy. First down from the 29, play action into the flat. Tyner almost in the way of the pass. It's complete down the sideline to Sam Klingsbaum.
Well, so if it's good enough for Jesuit, maybe it's good enough for the Warriors as they slip that fullback out into the flat, get him the football. Thomas Tyner, again, more or less a decoy. Good play fake there. And a good gain for Aloha.
Klingsbaum, his first reception of the season. Out of the power I, he's the up back right side hole for Tyner. And he's brought down again, high tackle, but an effective one by Trent Werner, who's certainly wrapped up Tyner enough times tonight.
Well, and so every possession here early in the second half is key for the Warriors. They've got to essentially score on every possession here in this quarter just to get themselves back in the game. So to come out right out of the half, good kick return, good field position, this is a good sign for Aloha.
Tyner, good cutback, finds a hole, levels another tackler, and the Aloha fans holler as he'll have enough for a first down at the 6-yard line.
Well, and speaking of Aloha fans, there are plenty of them here tonight. Good crowd turned out for the Warrior faithful.
Tyner up the middle, about 3. Jimmy does a pretty good job of putting the ball away. I mean, his arms are so large, he doesn't have to really do a double arm cover of the ball, but he tucks it really well alongside the ribs and doesn't appear to have a lot of ball control problems.
No, he's an all-around good running back. I mean, he's been well coached, obviously fundamentally very sound, and then he has the physical gifts and a really good head for the game of football.
Got 4 on that last carry from the 2-yard line. They'll give it to him again. Jesuit sends everyone and misses, and Tyner takes it in for the touchdown. Very key start to this third quarter for the Warriors.
Well, and there's no question about who they're going to really lean on as they gave the ball to Thomas Tyner, a steady diet on this drive, and he comes through. And that's exactly what they needed to do to get themselves back in the game, score on this series.
Now, interesting, the Warriors who missed their first conversion will still line up for the point after kick with Mickey York set to attempt. Plenty of height, and Aloha cuts it to a 15-point deficit, so they'll worry about the rest later on. Took him exactly 2 minutes after the nice kickoff return by McSwain to get on the board and get back some of the momentum that they had yielded to the Jesuit Crusaders throughout the second quarter. 2 minutes gone in the third, 28-13 our score.
And this is a big night at Jesuit. Not only was it senior night, but it was also homecoming. And then they're also in support of breast cancer awareness. Since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the teams are both representing their support by wearing pink. You can see the pink socks on the Warriors.
Yep, wristbands too on some of the players, and it's a Metro League-wide program as well. So not only these two schools, but the rest of the schools in the Metro League. A lot of the Jesuit kids in the student stands down to our right dressed in pink as well. And all the money raised goes to the Susan G. Komen foundation. And want to take a minute to commend these schools and the Metro League for their contributions to a worthy fundraising effort. York set to kick off. Werner is the deep back. And the question now will be, what can Aloha do defensively to try to continue climbing back into this one? Towards the right sideline, Werner will take it on a hop at his own 7-yard line and dives forward over the 30 on the run back for the Crusaders.
Todd, you've watched a lot of football as I have, and it never surprises me. The best kickoff returns come when the guy receiving the football catches it, makes a move straight up field, and just goes at full speed.
Yeah.
No hesitation, no dancing around, just hit the hole and go. Those are always the most successful kick returns.
Find your spot and accelerate. You're right. Morrison behind Alfieri in the backfield. Werner the motion man as they try that little pitch to the right side again. Morrison winds it back to the inside and is brought down by Dominic Johnson along with Bro Koshna, and a gain of about 4 on that carry.
And Jesuit is not doing anything fancy. I mean, it's toss sweep, it's power football, it's play action pass with the fullback in the flat. They've tried to, go vertical down the field a couple of times, but they've found something that they like, an area of vulnerability in that Warrior defense, and they're just going to keep pounding it.
Yeah, until Aloha makes a stop. You're right. I think the only stop was the initial possession of the game. Little confusion there as Martinek in at quarterback actually bounced off his flyback, Chase Morrison, that time, and sort of slowed his progress down to the 42-yard line, the 37, so it'll be a 3rd and 3 from there.
Well, I'm going to remind Mr. Martinek that when he turns into a ball carrier to get that ball tucked away, he was carrying it out there with the one hand as he's trying to navigate through the defensive line, and you're asking for trouble if you don't put the ball away in good ball security.
Martinek will go to the wideout position now. Alfieri, the tailback, on 3rd and 3. That's Alfieri trying to bounce off tacklers. Did a nice job, spins, and he'll have enough for the first down at the 43-yard line. A lot of that run, Jim, was individual effort that time by Joey Alfieri.
Well, and it was 2nd and 3rd effort because initially he didn't have the first down, but he made a great play to kind of spin out of the first tackle, kept the legs driving, and then as good running backs do, at the end of the play, they fall forward, and he was able to get the first down.
Alfieri will remain at the setback. Werner and Martinek, the wideouts now, with Nelson as the up back again. Quick out in the flat, too tall for Martinek. That's the one pattern they really have not been able to get down very well so far tonight.
Well, and part of it is timing, and the other part is that Aloha is playing a linebacker wide, and he's just wide enough that you've got to get the ball over top of him. So it's not only a timing, but it's a touch pass, and it's just really difficult to try to thread the needle. Aloha defending that play very well.
Morrison will check in for Nelson on 2nd and 10. Blitz by Aloha, picked up by the Jesuit front line. Downfield, Mondu, first down at the Aloha 43-yard line. Had a short, little intermediate, and a deeper pattern that time, Jim, and both were open. McSwain on the tackle.
Well, it's a nice little boot action play, and they've got the tight end, Mondu, from the backside, runs the little drag route, and the good news is he knows where he needs to get for the first down, so he's able to make the catch and then not have to worry about, have I made the catch and gotten the first down? So a good play by Mondu there.
From the 43, Alfieri the single back, Morrison the fly, and he'll take it on the sweep. Turned it inside in a hurry, and McSwain came up. Nope, make that number 1, rather. Johnson instead of 7, coming up in a hurry to make the stop.
Now, Johnson closed that off quickly because it looked like Morrison on the cutback was going to get big yardage. But a great play by Johnson, who was in hot pursuit from his linebacker position.
2-yard carry for Morrison on that play. He'll line up behind Alfieri this time in the eye. And jumping both sides. Two guys didn't even notice that the whistles had gone. They were ready to go one-on-one with each other still.
Well, Aloha looked like to me they jumped in the zone first. The offensive lineman then reacted. So the question will be, were they drawn offsides or was it procedure?
Oh, you lost your perfect record.
Well, it could have been the center, though. The center may have moved the football.
Yeah.
I thought that
I actually thought the lineman popped up before he got into the encroachment zone, but you're right. It was very close either way. And it could have been the center with a flex on the ball, too. It cost the Crusaders. So a 2nd and 13 now. Tried to find Alfieri in the flat, and they find Mondu in behind instead. The flat route had been there all night long. Great read by the quarterback as Aloha adjusted the defense to cover that, and he finds Mondu again.
Well, the thing that the quarterback has done very well is that, he's not making forced throws. He's really done a good job of finding the open man downfield. Nistler's done a good job of, taking care of the football. But Mondu has really turned out to be the key guy here because he's been able to make several catches, key catches for first downs, and this one puts him in position to get another one.
Yep, stepping up a little bit with the injury to Webb. He's the target tonight. Morrison first down and forced out of bounds. Got chased there by Calvin Davis, but he'll have a first down at the Aloha 25-yard line. Mondu, to go back to him, had only 8 catches for the season coming into the game tonight.
Well, clearly there was an effort during the week that they've decided, look, based on what Aloha does defensively, we think that we can get the ball to our tight end. We can throw the ball more to Mondu. They've done that, and they've been very effective.
Doing it without, as we said, their favorite target for the season, Buddy Webb, who is also missing via injury tonight. Around the left side, nice weave back and going 25 for the score. Werner with just a little wingback counter, Jim, and the coaches next door were trying to holler downstairs, couldn't get it there in time. They saw it coming, and Werner takes it in untouched.
Well, we're going to be able to see things a lot quicker from where we're at than the guys on the field, and everybody, including the Aloha coaches upstairs, knew where the counter was coming from. But Werner, in his own right, a good running back. Very quick, great moves, and once he gets his nose upfield, he's difficult to bring down, and a good answer by the Jesuit Crusaders to that Aloha score.
And Werner's been another weapon. Here's a guy who had only 3 carries coming into the ball game, including one of them for a 52-yard touchdown. So he picks up his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season, and we go to 35-13 as the Crusaders take it down the field in 3 minutes and 46 seconds.
And this really was the thing that I was the most interested, because I'll tell you, I was anxious to see Thomas Tyner for the first time after everything that he has done this year. But the real question that I had was, well, what if Jesuit does come out with a game plan that essentially, controls Thomas Tyner, keeps him in check, but they dominate the game? How will the other guys in the white uniforms, the other Aloha Warriors, how will they respond if they get behind? Will they be able to have the horsepower to come back? And I think what I see here is that Jesuit, they don't have a real superstar, but they've got 11 guys on the field that are all making it happen. And with Aloha, sometimes there's a tendency to be looking to your star when there's one guy that's getting a lot of the attention, and deservedly so. But a lot of times kids are looking to Thomas Tyner. Thomas, how are you going to help us out? And they're going to have to do it as 11 guys. They're going to have to come together and make it happen.
The Warriors, by the way, have snuck Tyner up in the kick return, so that instead of being the back group at all, he is standing just inside the 30-yard line in front of the threesome. Now he creeps all the way up to the 35. They'll go deep, so the Crusaders saw it. The Warriors having to chase it down. Fortunately for them, it rolls over the goal line for a touchback, because if it had stayed in the field of play, B-Log would have had to pick it up inside the 5 with not a lot of friends there in front to block for him.
Well, that's how important it is for Aloha to get the ball in Tyner's hands. They're actually trying to use him. They're trying to hide him, essentially, so that Jesuit's not quite sure where they kick the ball. If they kick it deep, is he back there? This time he came up, as you mentioned, Todd, and rightfully so. Jesuit puts the ball in the end zone for the touchback.
Well, the other thing to watch, too, as you've mentioned, Jim, that the Warriors have been in some track meets this year, and this may turn into more of a track meet, but they're still 3 scores down with the race 3/4 of the way run. So track meet fine, but they've got to figure out a way to make some stops, too. Tyner for about 7 or 8, forced out of bounds by Morrison.
The other part of that, when Thomas Tyner takes the ball and runs out of bounds, the clock stops. And obviously every second is valuable to Aloha to get them back in the game. But you can tell when he gets the football, there is an explosiveness in his style of running that is unique to high school football.
They'll toss sweep it to him after the fake.
Wow.
Got Alfieri to juke out of position, and he'll be close to the first down. Alfieri appeared to have him in open field, but that's a tough assignment one-on-one.
Well, I would say there was a piece of equipment dropped there by Alfieri because
Does it
Tyner,
start with the letter J?
Yeah, that was a spin move of all spin moves because he literally, right in his tracks, turned all the way around and was able to get upfield for a first down. That was a big league move there.
From the 31. Overthrown and incomplete. Looked like they might have gotten in between receivers there. Tried to find Cesar Gonzalez downfield.
All I can say is Xavier Coleman was lucky on that play that the ball wasn't caught because he made a play to try to knock it down with the inside hand, which is the right thing to do, but there wasn't anybody behind him. So fortunate that the pass fell incomplete.
Making actually Richie, who was the intended receiver, and this time the Crusaders gang tackle Tyner, got through the interference, and before he could get up to speed, that's when you want to hit a power back before he gets that momentum going, and they drop him for a loss.
Well, he's proven that if he gets the ball on toss sweep and he gets up to speed, he is difficult to tackle, to bring down. But Jesuit did a great job there. As soon as he got the football, they were all over him, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. They beat their men off the ball, and that's the key. You've got to do that. Get in the backfield and create some havoc.
So a 3rd and 12 now for Crouchside to try to have to get the ball downfield. Tyner in the backfield with him. Tries to run a shovel pass to Tyner, who cut underneath. The Crusaders following him, and they will wrap him up after a short gain and bring up another punt situation.
And Jesuit is executing the plan the way you'd want to. Make Aloha one-dimensional. Because if they can make Aloha one-dimensional, they know where the ball's going to go, and they can defend that. And they did a great job there in that series of keeping Thomas Tyner in check.
Well, and really with the exception of that one little wingback counter to Jackson, they have not had much else at all. York, a short, wobbly punt, gets a favorable roll, and it'll get down at about the 36-yard line of Jesuit. A 30-yard kick, and a lot of that, as we said, a little bit favorable roll as well. Well, we may not see any state records set in this game tonight, but interesting, a couple of Washington high school records got set last night in a game over in Spokane. Central Valley and Shadle Park. Austin Rakow, Central Valley, kicked a Washington State record 67-yard field goal last night. And a young man with a last name you might be familiar with set a record as well. We'll tell you more about that after first down. As they hand the ball off, new man in the backfield as Ben Hartmeyer returns and gets a big power run carry there down to the 45. Jim, that was pretty good acceleration for that young man.
Well, and the thing that's really, you can see it's happening is that the big physical offensive line for Jesuit is now starting to take over the game as the defensive front for the Warriors get worn down, and those big holes with running backs who like to get up to speed quickly, boy, they're really taking advantage and exploiting that defensive front for the Aloha Warriors. The Crusader offensive line really taking over here.
Hartmeyer again left side. He's a nice little change of pace back, and I don't know if it's fair to call him that as he slams forward for 16 more, make it 15 more to the 31 as they pull it back, and another first down.
Well, and one of the things those big guys up front are doing is it's like a little chip block on the initial defender in front, and then they're immediately getting to the second level on those linebackers. That's why we're seeing these big gashing plays, because the offensive line, just a chip block on the man over top of them in their gap, and then they immediately release to get to that second level.
Straight ahead football, and some of the sager heads around this stadium will shake their heads in agreement with the style of ball they've grown accustomed to here at Cronin Stadium as Hartmeyer carries again, and for the first time, he doesn't get first down yardage. So go back to that other game I was telling you about up in Washington. Brett Rippon of Shadle Park High School set a Washington State record. In the same game, he passed for 577 yards. Final score in that one was Central Valley 62 and Shadle Park 55. Brett Rippon, the nephew of former Washington Redskins quarterback and Super Bowl MVP Mark Rippon. And a wild game with 2 Washington State records in the same game last night.
Wow.
Shift here by the Crusaders on a second down and a back shift. I don't know if I've seen that one before. Morrison, right side, as he comes back in and gets the first down. Apparently, Hartmeyer gets yanked if he doesn't get a first down on every carry. So
another great block by Alfieri on the lead block.
He's done everything tonight, if you stop and think about it. Little receptions, lead blocks, great runs. Just talented all-around guy, and he'll be back again next year for the Crusaders.
Well, let's face it, the defensive front for Aloha has been on the field quite a bit. It's starting to take its toll. We talked about that at the beginning of the broadcast, that big physical offensive line for Jesuit wearing down the defense.
First down from the 19, shot through the gap. Boy, perfect timing on the gamble that time by the Warrior defense. And coming through was Brock Koshna, and there's just nowhere at all that time for Nisler to go.
Well, they put 10 guys in the box and just brought Koshna through the gap. He was on Nisler before he could even turn around. That's one of those deals where you tip your hat. Good defensive call. We'll line up and try to get a first down on second down.
So for all we've said about Nisler using some counts to draw the Warriors off a couple times, he must be getting to some kind of pattern right now if the Warriors are able to take that gamble and get him. Short drop, going for the end zone into coverage and well overthrows his intended receiver, Werner. Again, McSwain was the closest guy to the ball for Aloha.
Well, one of the things that Aloha did is they did bring their corners up into press coverage. The problem there was the pass pattern. Aloha had a safety over top. So it's a good thing that the ball was thrown out of the end zone, because I think that would have been a sure interception for Aloha and their safety in the backfield, Maurice McSwain.
It might have been a good read there by Nisler as well to just go ahead and get rid of it with his one receiver really into the pattern that time. So a third and long, they'll fly sweep it. Morrison tucks inside, first down and more. And I think if he'd kept it to the outside, he might have scored, but instead he gets a first and goal for the Crusaders.
Well, there's nothing more difficult than to try to stop a running back at full speed where he's on that cutback. A great job by Morrison, who's had a good game here tonight. But again, Todd, the offensive line and the holes that are being created. They're just doing a great job up front. And this is literally just wearing down a defensive front for the Warriors. At this point, they really don't have an answer to stop this Crusader offense.
So it'll be a first and goal officially at the 8-yard line. Final minute of the third quarter. Each team has scored once in the period. And a little fly sweep coming around the right side. That little reverse again to Mondu. And Aloha fooled twice by that play. Mondu with his second rushing touchdown of the game.
Well, and I think just a great play call again. You know, you pound the ball inside, you run sweep, you pound the ball inside again, and then you get Aloha defensively over pursuing, come back with that little tight end or slot reverse, and it's an easy touchdown.
And now, Jim, for all the momentum that Aloha brought out of the locker room, got the good run back on the kick return by McSwain, the short drive, Tyner's run. They've been shut down since then and given up 2 touchdowns to Jesuit to see the deficit grow even larger as we come to the end of the third quarter.
Well, and you can see the difference in the energy level. The Aloha Warriors walk over to the sideline. Jesuit sprints off the field, you know, in front of their home crowd on senior night. It's homecoming.
And you know how much that plays into it, too.
Absolutely.
Your coaches are telling you it's a tradition, and, men, we don't lose on this night.
Yeah. And Aloha at 7-0, and then, of course, Jesuit coming into this game after a loss last week to Southridge. You know, everything really was kind of in Jesuit's favor with a home game. You've got a lot of attention on your opponent's star player, and really Ken Potter has done such a great job to just keep his team focused. you know, this is Jesuit football. This is what they do. They just pound, they grind, they wear you down, and then at some point they pop a play, they surprise you, and the next thing you know, you're down 3 touchdowns.
And how big a motivational point, an easy one, is it for Ken Potter that for once his team isn't the favorite, isn't the team being talked about, isn't the one getting the publicity coming into the game? It's a great way to be able to motivate your kids.
And Jesuit likes to be talked about as one of the top teams in the state.
High kick by Carly. Tyner giving it chase and is going to let it go into the end zone for the touchback. He thought about it, but instead will let it cross the line, and the Warriors will start at their 20-yard line. Let's talk a little bit more here about Thomas Tyner. We've been impressed with what we've seen. I don't think that you can say it's a subpar night or an off night, and I don't see any sign really of all the issues of the week affecting the young man at all.
No, but it does point out this is a game where 11 guys play.
True.
And while there may be one star, one premier athlete on the field, you know, it takes the guys up front to create the holes. And Jesuit has just done a great job of controlling their gaps and really kind of throwing a net around a really good football player.
And I guess the thing I like about it the most as a nonpartisan observer is that he's been able to get and give his best. There is no excuse tonight. There's no I'm off. There's no blaming that's going to happen after this one. He's played well. He's played hard. But as you said, it's been a guy against a team for a large part of this game.
Well, the other thing that he does quite well, you know, he carries the ball a lot, but he takes care of the football.
Yes.
And that's something that's, you know, at the next level, the people that are looking at him and counting on him to make an impact, he takes care of the ball even though he carries it an awful lot.
Averages 26 carries a game. Over 2,300 yards, and the quarter will expire before they can get that snap off. We'll go to the fourth quarter. Jesuit in command and keeping itself in the midst of the Metro League race, it appears. We'll go to the fourth. Jesuit 42 and Aloha 13. You're watching Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
Back at Jesuit High School, the Crusaders looking to run this one out and move their record to 6-2, while looking to give Aloha its first loss of the season. The Warriors at 7-0, 3-0 in league play as we start the fourth quarter. Little bubble pass in the flat. And Jim, for the first time watching too, you can sense a little resignation with Tyner on that play. A couple steps and stop, knowing that he's just the decoy. And it's probably being used as a decoy more in this game tonight than he has all season.
Well, they've had to come up with some other answer because Jesuit has effectively, you know, for the most part, neutralized what Thomas Tyner has done in the game. He's had some games where, like we've talked about, you know, it's a handoff and a 70-yard touchdown. Not the case tonight. He's had to work for yardage. He's had to work a little bit harder and really be relegated to a role on a lot of plays of just being the decoy.
Power I formation on first down from the 31. They try to give to the up back, and the Crusaders stay home on that one. Johnson with a carry of a couple of yards. Well, interestingly, Tyner on the left of your screen turns and stares at the scoreboard and watches the clock as it winds here in the fourth quarter.
Well, I know that, you know, Thomas Tyner has a great deal of respect for the Jesuit football program and the fact that he's been able to beat this team
in
his career.
Year.
That's pretty good. That's saying a lot more than a lot of guys can. But tonight, Jesuit they've just really dominated the game.
Backers stunning back and forth on third down. Crouch side the slant route. That was given a ton of cushion. It'll be good enough for a first down as McSwain takes it to the 50-yard line before Morrison brought him down.
Well, and again, Thomas Tyner, even on the plays where he doesn't have a physical impact, what he did there off of play action was a great ball fake. There were two guys on the Jesuit defensive line who were convinced he had the ball.
Yep, and your backers jump up.
That's exactly right, and now the slant route is wide open, and they make a big play. So Thomas Tyner has an impact on every play.
Agreed. From midfield, and again, too, Jesuit with a 4-score lead. They can afford to play cushion a little bit here. Nice comeback read by McSwain again. He'll take it inside the 25-yard line. Wasn't exactly a back shoulder pass, but it was in a place where McSwain was the guy who adjusted to it and made the grab.
Now there's a flag at the 49-yard line. So the officials are talking about this one. Let's see if it's coming back.
Illegal procedure against the offense, so it had to be a lineup situation for them to not stop play. Somebody probably wasn't stepped up on the line.
Well, and it could be that the wide receiver was actually lined up in the backfield,
right,
which would put too many guys in the backfield, which is really kind of frustrating, especially when you get a big play like that to the guy who probably lined up off sides. And there really is no excuse for that, because typically the wide receiver is going to step up to the line. He's going to look at the official and say, hey, am I good?
Right.
And I'm not sure it was that call, but I'm guessing that's what happened.
Little package jumbo right side. Ball fake and the ball incomplete from McSwain. That should be a forward pass. And it is ruled incomplete. McSwain took an extra hit. He stays down.
So McSwain just trying to make a play because he's not sure whether or not the ball's going to be ruled an incomplete pass or a fumble. Makes an effort to get to the ball and cover it, and as the two players come together and collide, he takes the worst of it, and now is on the field. Looks like maybe a cramp.
I hope for him that's all it is, as they do work on that leg and flex the foot a little bit.
I'll tell you, I've been really impressed tonight with Henry Mondu, the tight end. Because I go back to what you talked about in the first half, where he'd only gotten 8 pass catches the whole season. And they have really used him as a weapon tonight. He's been very effective on the backside, the bootleg where he runs the drag route from the backside. He's been able to run the ball off of a reverse type sweep from the tight end position.
Yeah.
He's played a great game. And, I mean, those are the kinds of things that if you don't see that a lot on film, it's tough to game plan against that. And he's a good athlete, and he's caught the football when he's had opportunities. So I'm sure that Ken Potter's very happy with Henry Mondu's performance tonight.
McSwain up, able to hobble off, as you see. 2nd down and 15 for the Warriors at their own 45-yard line. Toby King in as a wide receiver for McSwain. And the run up the middle, another short gainer. Again, the Crusader defense, and I think more than anything else, now, Jim, they'll key on Tyner and let somebody get 15 or 20 on him rather than letting Tyner go 50.
Which, really is the right strategy.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to contain the state's premier running back, a guy who's had, video game type yardage and games. It's kind of like in basketball. The guy's going to get his 30 points. Just don't let other guys beat you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they've done.
Crouch side for a tight end, just a bit too far. Had Sam Klingsborn down the seam and could not get it to him. Would have been a first down and more.
Well, and the Jesuit defensive coach is a little bit upset, particularly with Thomas Foreman, because Foreman is playing in the linebacker position that's lined head up over top of the tight end. And one of the things that you're coached to do is don't let the guy break free from the line of scrimmage untouched.
Yeah.
Because that's a timing pass, and if Jesuit gets a body on him, you throw the timing off, there's no chance they score. So even now with this big lead, they're still coaching him up on D.
End over end kick, as York has been able to benefit most of the night from several bounces. This one checks up a little quicker and it's grounded at the 20-yard line. It'll be Jesuit ball there with 9:15 to play in the fourth quarter, and I would not be surprised to see the Crusader ground game continue.
Well, that's your best bet. I mean, you've been able to do it pretty effectively tonight.
One of the few times tonight, it'll be Alfieri and Morrison both coming out of the game as they bring in Hartmeyer along with Braden Nelson here from the 20-yard line. Hartmeyer, both arms wrapped around the ball, breaks free from a tackler and has room. He is rumbling into Aloha territory, and he's knocked out of bounds by McSwain. Good to see him back in the game quickly at the Aloha 45-yard line. Not as much speed as some of the other backs, but plenty of speed enough on that one, as well as some power as he thunders to the 45.
Well, he was actually stopped for a loss in the backfield. But, instead of wrapping up, again, we talked about tackling. The tackler didn't wrap up, and he was able to break out of that and made a great run once he got into the secondary. Good play.
34-yard gain at the Aloha 46-yard line. A little bit of a delay here now as they wait for Nistler to come back with the play call. Simple call. Give it to Ben.
Yeah.
He's not gentle, Ben, that's for sure. Hartmeyer right side, and again breaks through the first tackle attempt. He's going to be close to first down yardage. He's got a pretty good per carry average tonight, Jim.
Not too bad, but when the offensive line behind Brenner and some of those big fellas up front, when they're making the kind of holes that they are, Ryan Brown.
What are you trying to say? You or I could get a yard or two behind
Well,
him?
I'm thinking that it's big enough to drive a truck through. It's big enough for a big gain.
They have done a fine job at the point of attack almost all night. Aloha continues to crowd men into the box. They're just gambling, stunning anywhere they can. And Hartmeyer just knocked down running over the interference that time. There's some push and shove going on. Everybody appears to be okay. The ball's still with Hartmeyer, and they will spot it at the Aloha 36-yard line, which should be enough for a first down.
Well, Braden Nelson of Jesuit should really be credited with the tackle because it wasn't the defender from Aloha.
Yeah, that's true. He ran over. Cooper Nagy was tangled with
Yep.
Nelson, and he just stumbled over all of that. They're going to say he's short, so they didn't exactly give him the spot they had originally indicated, so it will be third down in inches here. For some reason, now they do finally get the clock started there. For some reason, they had it stopped. And Hartmeyer will pick up a first down here, bowls over another back, and we'll get the first down at about the 32-yard line.
And now for both teams, what you really want to do is just get to a conclusion here, make sure nobody else gets hurt in the game.
Yeah.
Injuries have already impacted, and, that's something that will, you'll rehash after the game is over. C.J. Keitel goes out of the game early in the first half with a shoulder injury, the quarterback for the Warriors. So, what if he'd been able to stay in and lead the team? You won't know, but that's how delicate this game is. One injury to a key player can really throw you off.
Warriors again kind of stunning and gambling. Is that a lateral? They did not blow a whistle to stop it, so I'm going to assume that was a lateral and fallen on by one of the Jesuit linemen. The intended recipient of that pass just sort of stood and looked at it, trying to get the lineman's number as he hobbles back a little bit. Looks like he might have tweaked an ankle before he fell on top of the ball. That was Andrew Kirkland who kept it alive for the Crusaders, and it was ruled a lateral. A loss of 4.
Good for Kirkland to know that he should probably fall on the ball and not assume that it's an incomplete pass, because it turns out it was a backward lateral and the ball's live. So Kirkland saves Jesuit from a turnover.
And Trent Werner should be giving him a thank you, because Werner stood and stared at the ball. Werner on the fly sweep now. Picks his way through the left side down to about the 30-yard line. Ball popped free after he was down. And it'll be about a 3rd and 8 for the Crusaders there.
This is a point in the game where the referees really kind of earn their stripes, so to speak, because things can get a little bit chippy here. Two very competitive teams. Emotions can be running high. Obviously, Aloha disappointed that more than likely they're going to lose tonight for the first time this season. I think the officials, for the most part, have done a really good job in this football game.
And credit to both teams, they haven't had to do a whole lot of
That's
work
right.
either, so that's been good too. Martinek at the quarterback, carrying it out of the Wildcat, gets underneath the tackler and gets the first down near the 20. Nice looking run there by Martinek.
So even on busted or semi-busted plays, Jesuit's been able to get positive yardage. And you know what? This is just one of those nights where everything has kind of gone their way, along with the fact that they had a great game plan on defense. And obviously, from an offensive perspective, they have executed extremely well. And they've just made it tough on Aloha all night long.
From the 21-yard line, Nisler comes back in at the quarterback spot. Good bounce and slide to the outside, still on his feet. Hartmeyer inside the 10, and it'll be first and goal Jesuit from there. I don't want to necessarily put him on a spot or Brandon, but there are times when the way he runs reminds you of the things that A.J. Glass does to tacklers.
There's no question. And I mean, some folks might be thinking, why is it that Aloha is having such a difficult time here late in the game? I'll tell you what, they're physically worn out.
Yeah. Hartmeyer left side, arms wrapped around the ball, pop loose, picked up, and it'll go as a touchdown. Let's wait and see. They do signal touchdown. Yes, both pick it up. Braden Nelson picking up the fumble and taking it in for the score.
So I just got done saying, busted plays or semi-busted plays, and the breaks have gone Jesuit's way, and that time the bounce went their way as they scored the touchdown off the fumble to really put an exclamation point, Todd, on this win tonight over Aloha.
It'll keep them in the hunt. More importantly, it might move them up in the power rankings, and that's really the key for these teams with a week to go. I believe they do one more after tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So this will help Jesuit out. It'll knock Aloha down a little bit. And seeding crucial because it's the OSAA power rankings that will matter in terms of where you get seated in the playoffs. So 49-13 with 5:18 to play here in the fourth quarter.
So next week, 26th of October, Beaverton and Jesuit will play it on. And last game for the Warriors against Southridge on the 26th. Southridge with a win over Jesuit last week. So 1 week left to go. And again, the power rankings really are the big thing. You talked about they've got the AP poll, but then they've got the OSAA power rankings. And that's how teams will be seated in the playoffs. And this will help Jesuit because I think Aloha was ranked in the power rankings number 3. So this is a win over a highly ranked team. They'll move up in those power rankings.
Tyner back deep for the Warriors as they look at one another. Jesuit finishing with Beaverton next week.
That's always a good rivalry game.
Carley with the pooch kick through the legs of one man by McSwain. And he'll take it at about the 8-yard line, tight to the sideline, and he's not going to get very far, and then a late flag thrown at the end of the play.
The illegal block in the back by Aloha. So a penalty on the kick return against the Warriors.
So that'll back them up a little bit further. And they've had to go most of the way, as we said, with their reserve quarterback, Nick Crouchide, in after an injury to the shoulder of C.J. Eitel. With the way that Jesuits played defense tonight, I know it would have some impact, but I don't know how much. Tyner is the slot wide receiver now, not in the backfield. And the Crusaders scramble to that at the last second. Crouchide running for his life, puts one up, and it's read and intercepted. Crusaders will try to take this one back for a score, and they will on the touchdown, the interception to Zach Hulamard, and Jesuit adds to the total. There's the difference a little bit, Jim, between starter and reserve.
Well, that when you take Thomas Tyner and you put him in a position where he's typically not played, so you put him in the slot, it's a pretty good bet that the ball is going to be going to him somewhere on the field. And the problem is that when the quarterback basically stares it down the entire play, it's easy for the defensive secondary to read. And that was just an easy pick, and then Aloha just really didn't put as much effort as you'd like to see into trying to stop the touchdown. But this game's been in the fridge for quite a while.
Let me make a correction. The interception actually was to Xavier Coleman. My apologies. It's Coleman with the interception return and the touchdown. The Crusaders get flagged for an illegal substitution.
And so for folks who came to the game and have kind of endured a constant, steady, sometimes heavy rain drizzle, even the Jesuit faithful have decided, I think we're in good shape, and let's try to beat the traffic.
Carly with the kick, 2 touchdowns, 13 seconds apart. And the Crusaders just a touchdown away from equaling their highest point output of the season. Their opening win against McMinnville, 63-21. So I'm sure some fans will look at this and go, where was this group last week? And I have not seen Southridge. You haven't seen Southridge. They're leading the league as they had non-league losses. But that squad's starting to pull itself together. Got a quarterback back, too, we understand. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare.
But, you know, here's the other thing. Every team in the Metro League gets up for Jesuit. You know, they've got a target on their back every single game. And, you know, unless they're at their best, you're going to catch your opponents a lot of times at their best. And so it doesn't surprise me that a team like Southridge, who's had somewhat of a mediocre season, you know, they put everything together and they play their best game of the season and they beat Jesuit. The question everybody had was, how would the Crusaders respond knowing they were going to go up against Thomas Tyner and the undefeated Warriors? And I think they've answered the question. They responded well.
I also think, as I look real quickly, that the white flag has gone up because Mr. Tyner is nowhere to be found on the kick return team. Calvin Davis will run this one back. He's got a hole and gets spilled at about the 30-yard line. And let's watch as the offense comes out.
Again, best returns on kickoffs are the ones where the guy gets the ball and runs straight up the field. No hesitation. You can probably tell I have a thing about that.
Tyner is not on the field. He is over on the far sideline, helmet in hand out near midfield. And so Chris Casey has said enough as the Warriors come to the line of scrimmage at the 30. While we go into the final 5 minutes of this one, Jim would have to say, I think it's fair for us to say Tyner's still the player of the game for the Warriors. And
no question.
Showed his potential. I think we, can see what he's capable of given time and given blocks by a line. He just didn't get enough of those tonight against a good Jesuit defensive unit.
Well, and what does it say about how his opponents respect his ability? I mean, essentially, you game plan to stop one guy. I mean, that's how much of an impact Thomas Tyner can have on a game. So great respect shown by Jesuit. They executed the game plan. They were able to essentially take Thomas and the big plays. Those are the things that have killed teams that Aloha's played and beat, are the big plays that he's made. He didn't make the big play tonight. He had an awesome kick return, which put him in good position to score right out of the half, but they limited those big plays and just had a great game plan. And my hat's off to Jesuit for the way they played tonight, but my hat's off to Aloha and Thomas Tyner.
Yep.
Because,
and they'll do damage in the postseason.
Oh, absolutely.
Still.
I mean, they're 7-1. That's not bad.
Yep. Still a tough one next week with Southridge as well. Crouchite on the bootleg trying to get somewhere is going to be wrapped up well short of a first down, and it'll be a do-or-die situation here for Aloha, but they'll most likely, they will wisely bring out the punt team. To go back as well and think a little bit further than players of the game for Jesuit, I would have to say, I would choose two because both showed their versatility in a number of spots tonight. We've touched on each. Alfieri, receiver, runner, blocker. Mondu, target on a receiver, solid on defense, and a pass catcher tonight. They've both been outstanding players. And I think the 13-yard touchdown run by Tyner might have been his longest run from scrimmage tonight. I don't recall him breaking. He might have broken one over 20 that I think about, but
see, that says
a lot.
That says a lot about what Jesuit was able to do because he really didn't have those electric, explosive, kind of highlight type plays. They just did a really good job of playing solid, fundamental, disciplined defense, and that's what Jesuit does here. It's a little out of character, honestly, for them to lose 2 games. You know, people are not used to that because they are a perennial winner of this league. And so there was a lot at stake for them, at least getting themselves back on the right track. They're back on the right track after tonight.
Next week, of course, the last week of the regular season, Jack Hamburg is in at quarterback for the Crusaders as they bring the reserves in here. And don't forget to stay tuned to PlayOnSports.com and to OSAA.tv. We'll be with you throughout the playoffs. You can find out our playoff schedule there, and we'll have action for you every week of the playoffs right here on your home for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. And don't forget, you can check out football from all across the country, live and later on, delayed and on demand when you want to watch it at PlayOnSports.com. Sweep on the right side that time, and Alex Bolton, the ball carrier. Bolton with 22 carries this season for 91 yards coming into that carry.
So now the question is for Aloha coming out of this game, depending on the nature of the injury to their quarterback, they're going to have some work that they're going to need to do to get ready for next week's game against Southridge.
And a key game for them, yeah.
A key game for them, but more importantly, you know, getting ready for the playoffs. Because both these teams are playoff teams, so they'll get there.
In pass formation, defender fell down, might have had an interception, but it's complete for a first down just short of the 30-yard line. Josh Pearson on the reception.
And to both coaches' credit, there are a number of kids in the game now here down the stretch that typically probably don't get a lot of playing time at a varsity game, but this is great experience for the young kids.
They've got a big guy as the up back in the backfield here as the ball gets carried again by Bolton off the right side. Trying to see if that was Nelson that was the lead man for him. I think it was.
Braden Nelson.
It looked like a 99 for a minute the way he was turned, but it is Nelson 39 still in as the lead back. They'll switch kids around again.
Good run by Alex Bolton. And for the kids on the field now, this is big time, Todd. I mean, you know, a big game like this, and they have made it into the varsity game. That's exciting for them, for their families, for their friends.
Should be the final snap of the ball game, depending on when it gets spotted. Bolton will carry it again, and they may have to stop for a first down here. We'll see. Now they spot him a little short, and they will not have to snap the ball again for the Crusaders. In fact, as the quarterback Hamburg comes over, Gene Potter says, go back and celebrate. Don't even have to get into victory formation. A big, big win for the Jesuit Crusaders tonight as they stay alive in the Metro League hunt and knock Aloha from the ranks of the undefeated. It's been quite a rivalry over the last 3 years. This round goes to the Crusaders. Jesuit now 6-2, 3-1 in league play. Aloha 7-1 overall and 3-1. Our final score tonight, Jesuit 56 and Aloha 13. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com. As it's the final week of the regular season, we'll have action for you from Oregon and Washington. And as always, you can watch games from across the country right here. For our entire crew at Cronin Stadium, I'm Todd Pickett. Our final score again, Jesuit 56 and Aloha 13. Until next week, so long, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.